Positive sync established. Remote link KX4. This is ComSat2. We are in receipt of your transmission. Stand by hot feed. Stand by. Go, KX4.
Contrary to unsubstantiated rumor, Macrolens and I have not met our demise as a result of the conflagration that surrounds us here at the Albeit bottleneck. The building we were broadcasting from, at the time of our last report, was struck by tank fire. Although I was injured and briefly rendered unconscious, my escort pulled me to safety and tended to my wounds. Though dazed by the concussive effects of the explosion, my cameraman was spared serious bodily harm. For the moment, the Marines are still in control of this tiny settlement, despite the fierce shelling. However, it appears as though one of the anti-tank vehicles has been seriously damaged. Wait a minute. Something new is brewing. Hold on.
We have to move. Seek cover to the rear. Go north, guys. Go north.
Our escorts have us repelling back towards the insurgents' former safe house. Most of the south barricade, running parallel to the wadi, has crumbled under direct cannon fire. Unencumbered passage into the village from the plain is now a distinct possibility. We may be on the cusp of receiving uninvited guests. It is, however, difficult to tell from this vantage point. In any event, the safe house may be our final haven. Stay tuned to VNN for more updates. This is CyberNet reporting.
Endeavoring to push the haggard Marines to the very limits of human endurance, the Iranian command staff has committed the bulk of their on-site task force to the assault and capture of Albeit. Forsaking proper tactical doctrine in lieu of unadulterated brute force, they dogmatically pursue this risky course of action, not in spite of having already suffered substantial losses to the siege, but because of them. Although this torrential onslaught threatens to consume the village and its occupants, it has yet to undermine the equally dogmatic resolve of its defenders. The time is 03:21 hours. Besetting the Marines from on high, the two Iranian Spec Ops snipers within the Sultan's dagger expend one round after another in their attempt to contribute to the siege. Targeting stationary vehicle crewmen exclusively, their efforts produce no tangible results, except to irritate their intended victims to a point whereby Coyote 1 finally responds by traversing turret and letting loose a burst of reactive coaxial fire. Conscious of the fact that their incessant sniping is divulging their exact locations within the towers, the Iranians nevertheless persist, despite the danger of being targeted themselves by the Marine scout snipers in the village below. Aware of the growing peril presented by sniper fire, the U.S. vehicle crews are riding the razor's edge of paranoia. Out on the dunes, the half-dozen surviving Iranian sand scouts are busy rendering aid to the many comrades who fell victim to the aerial exploits of Mozart II. Albeit innocuous, their action is nondescript. Detecting what they fear to be fresh sniper activity behind the northeast dune, neither the C2 nor Coyote 1 is willing to take any chances. They rake the sandy crest with machine gun fire, which prompts the medics to cease care and take cover. To the south, primary combat for Albeit is increasing in intensity. Continuing their attack on the perimeter wall, 3rd Tank Platoon succeeds in demolishing the last remnants of the only barrier that has presented a physical obstruction to their view of the settlement's interior. Simultaneously, the 3 tanks of 1st Platoon creep their way further forward the lip of the wadi to commence direct assault. Having now become visible to the Marines stationed atop one of the multi-story buildings, the No. 2 T-62 is immediately inundated with a hail of large-caliber bullets from the No. 2 heavy machine gun section. Though relatively ineffective, this harassing fire serves to both stunt the tank's encroachment on the village and to briefly stymie the crew's fervor. Conversely, the defiant number 1 tank demonstrates a palpable disdain for having their targeting optics damaged by the lead heavy machine gun section. Obliged to bore sight their main gun in order to initiate all future attacks, the command tank targets the origin of the 50 cal fire and lets loose with a high explosive round directly into the second-story window of the Marines' command post. The resulting blast eliminates the number 1 heavy machine gun and its crew, while also wounding a section member. Uninjured, yet squarely in the sights of unfettered tank fire, Captain Ricks and his adjutant abandon the building's rooftop in an effort to relocate to the village's central complex, where they intend to re-establish the CP atop the freight station. Only seconds after making their escape, a subsequent shell impacts the former CP, reducing the upper floor to shambles. With its facade torn asunder, so too is the structure's tactical utility to the Marines, now ruined. Freshly outfitted with law rockets, Charlie Team traverses the village compound. Once again utilizing the buildings as intermediate cover, they quickly make their way back towards the pitch trench. Motivated by a desire to ambush any enemy tank that demonstrates the audacity to crest the wadi and roll into town, their pace remains brisk despite the resident dangers inherent in a return trip to a forward position exposed to direct gunfire. Nonetheless, these leathernecks understand that the presence of even one more man with a rifle at the trench line might well determine the outcome of combat, or perhaps even the fate of an entire troop. Atop Sultan's Dagger Ridge, the Iranian command staff observes the progress of their tank attack and is initially enthusiastic and emboldened by the prospects.
وكان أول فصيلة دبابات وصلت أخيرا إلى درجة من الانتشار من خلالها لضرب التسوية من.
First tank platoon had finally reached a degree of deployment where they could strike the settlement from the protection of the Wadi crest. They were only a few meters from the objective. We were quite pleased with this development. However, they would refrain from ingress until 3rd Tank Platoon and their infantry support had usurped the dry wash and joined them in the action to overrun the village. Unfortunately, just as victory appeared to be within grasp, those demons from the sky appeared, once again, to tear the sword from our hand. This time, there was not one, but 2 U.S. attack helicopters circling overhead.
Equipped with the standard insurgency loadout that in this case includes Hydra unguided rockets, Valkyrie Flight is a surprise addition to the fray. Opting to assail the clustered foot soldiers that are trailing the tanks of 3rd Platoon, Valkyrie 2 makes an initial attack run that records 3 enemy casualties and several wounded. Nearby, the flight leader uses the north-south run of the Wadi Trough to descend upon the rear flank of 1st Platoon. By sheer chance, the target they find is the number 1 tank. The Cobra's initial flurry of rockets bracket the T-62. Lacking a direct hit, the attack nevertheless detracts the tank, thus eliminating it as a potential village intruder. While the 2 Cobras move off in preparation for an encore performance, the number 2 tank of 1st Platoon realizes that its previous assailant was nothing more than a heavy machine gun and ventures up the Wadi shelf. Suddenly finding itself in the direct line of sight of this T-62, Coyote 2 reacts with defensive fire while simultaneously attempting to renew its cover. Its 25mm shells merely ricochet off the mantlet and turret, therein providing the tank crew with the time to scan the village and ultimately locate and identify their attacker. The T-62 snap-fires a pre-loaded high-explosive shell before their target can disappear from view. Although the point-blank strike rocks and immobilizes the LAV, the crew inside survives the attack by virtue of the non-armor-piercing round utilized. Taking advantage of the chaos, Charlie Team drops to a low crawl in an attempt to covertly transition the final few precarious yards to their assigned defensive position in the pitch trench. With the entire south barricade reduced to rubble, they are forced to bridge the debris, which nearly proves fatal. Just as before, the number 3 T-62 spots their movement and engages them. Employing both cannon and machine gun fire, the angle of attack is, however, too sharp. Charlie Team once more survives unscathed. Racing into their new digs, the Marine Command Team enters the freight station office and ascend the structure on their way to the roof, where Team Mongoose is already on station. Upon reaching his destination and establishing a new CP, Captain Rix is promptly greeted with a series of unwanted housewarming gifts.
I had just arrived above the freight station and was in no mood for any more setbacks, after having just lost both a heavy weapons crew and my CP in one fell swoop. But the situation only got worse. My focus was immediately summoned to a smoking LAV in the street below. Coyote 2 had been struck by tank fire from a T-62 that was, itself, now under attack from the number 1 GL section situated along the perimeter. This valiant act was meant to draw the tank's attention away from the crippled vehicle and its crew. Sadly, it proved to be a little too effective. The tank's firepower was brought to bear on them. With a single blast of that 115mm gun, the M19 and its gunner were permanently silenced. On the other hand, their action was not without merit. The T-62 obviously incurred damage that required prompt attention, because it receded back into the Wadi Depression and out of sight. At this stage the disposition of force and initiative of battle began to fluctuate wildly.
To the immediate east, the principal component of the Iranian task force finally appears on the battlefield. Arriving in the same line-abreast combat formation employed by the T-62-75 Company earlier, the eastern prong rolls forward at a vigorous clip astride 1080G. Governing this fresh force of regular Army draftees is yet another company of T-62s. These tanks, however, are model MV. Representing the final variant in the series, they sport improvements in both their offensive and defensive mechanisms. Their anti-tank missiles, reactive armor plating, and smoke canisters notwithstanding, these aging behemoths still suffer from at least 2 significant deficiencies. These being limited night vision capability and a ground pressure weight displacement that limits off-road mobility, the negative effects of which are immediately encountered. Serving as a perfect example as to why the Iranians require the gravel-top road in order to execute their advance on Kirkuk, a single T-62 of 3rd Platoon becomes bogged in the soft terrain. Despite making every effort to dislodge itself, the tank only succeeds in digging its tracks into the ground and becoming trapped in place. A victim of circumstance, the vehicle is nevertheless lost to the Iranian assault plan. Accompanying the T-62 MV Company are 3 full platoons of motorized infantry. Having disembarked from their transport trucks, these half-trained, inexperienced conscripts march forward using the reverse slope of Sultan's Dagger Ridge as temporary concealment. Though numerous, they still exhibit blind apprehension. Having sighted fresh Iranian armor, the C-2 informs the entire troop of the new development. Those who can promptly reorient in preparation for the pending battle along the eastern flank, or otherwise reposition to safer ground. Being the only other unit with eyes on target, Fox 1 responds to this event by reaffirming its preeminent presence in the fight. Identifying a T-62 that is closing range to Albeit, yet exposed along the fringes of the desert sands, the crew attains lock and sends a missile downrange to greet it. The resulting impact produces an explosion that obliterates the first platoon tank and buries it in a crater. Alerted to this lethal threat, the other two tanks of the platoon increase speed and head for reference point M Zuma in a desperate bid to attain cover. For the lead T-62, the effort is, however, futile. With remarkable skill and poise, Fox 1 collects its 6th kill of the battle. A testament to the arbitrary nature of war, the Iranians are -3 of their 10 MV tanks before these new combatants to the field have even made visual contact with their foe.
The scene here at Albeit is awe-inspiring. Activity has really increased in recent moments. There, in the sky near the ridgeline, a pair of Marine Cobras have just appeared from out of the darkness. One of them is attacking the wadi.
Oh my god. Mac, swing the camera left.
Something new appears to be emerging on the eastern horizon. Can it be? Yes, it is. It's the second Iranian armor formation. They're bearing down on us from beyond the fortress. Holy cow. A massive fireball just erupted from over in that direction. Things are really heating up now, as tanks are approaching from the south as well. There's no longer any place to hide.
Like the Spartans at Thermopylae, the diminutive American reconnaissance unit defending the Albeit choke point is on the defensive, yet not on their knees. Fighting for their lives against odds that would tend to rattle a force of far superior strength, the pride and determination of these daring Marines prevents them from deserting their post and their mission for self-preservation. As with any conflict, the true test of courage is not found in what a soldier does on his own behalf. It lies in what he does for the men around him and for a greater good. Despite their slim chances of survival, the Marines of 4th LAR will not go softly into this night. You're watching Tales of Virtual Combat on His Story International.